Hello everyone, this is Anil Kumar. Today we are discussing about the topic about on the Spring JDBC. So Spring JDBC is a concept how we effectively able to connect it to the database and how can we actually reduce the code of like using the concept what are the features that is been provided by the Spring and how it actually solves the problems which are existing in the normal JDBC. Let us look at first high level Spring JDBC features and advantages over the normal JDBC connectivity, and then we will see the typical Spring JDBC template how it would look like. What are the basic configurations that needs to be implemented in order to actually get the like all the features of this JDBC. So let's see why this particular JDBC concept altogether and advantages what we are getting with the implementation of this Spring JDBC. So I just depicted some of the problems while we are facing the normal JDBC. We need to write a lot of code, right? A lot of code in the form of like creating connection statement, result set, closing result set, connection, established the connections, all these things to be managed and with the kind of try catch block and all. So this is a normally typically we will use to do every time when you connect to the database, and also the exception handling related database logic also. And if we need to have a like sophisticated transactions, we need to do the transaction management also, we need to write it. And some of these codes are actually been very repetitive. If you see the kind of code we will see same things, it would be happening in each and every method. Even if you want to insert a some uh, data or update the data, every time you need to make use of the similar kind of connection statements every time, result set whatever. So Spring has come up with these all boilerplate code which is being actually wrapped up into Spring JDBC template. We will see how it actually solves the problems. Some of the Spring JDBC template advantages are it actually cleans up all the resources automatically. You no need to actually close the connection, close the result set, whatever you no need to do that. It is automatically taken care whenever the particular resource is not being used. It would be automatically closed. Okay, without any kind of extra code, those things would be written by the Spring JDBC template for you. And it actually converts the standard exceptions. There is a standard exception handling mechanism Spring JDBC has been provided. You no need to write any try catch blocks, so everything will be processed by a runtime exception instead of like checked exceptions. And Spring JDBC templates offers sophisticated query mechanism to the database. Like I will show some methods. Okay, query per list, query per object. Okay, a JDBC template dot update, some insert, some simple statements where you can just pass the kind of object. It everything would be taken care by Spring JDBC template without having like so much of complicated code. And you can have a row mapper concept. We will see in an example. Row mapper is the one where you need to actually you will process everything from the Java side as a Java module, and in the database it has to be understood by an SQL. In between, the conversion happens through the row mapper. You will take a row mapper, that is the Spring JDBC a class, where you would just map which fields, which table classes and needs to be actually selected in order to process convert into a kind of Java object for you in order to render in your application. So let's look at a simple JDBC code how it would look like probably you are more familiar with the JDBC code that you use to write. So if you want to fetch some data, okay, whatever, forget about what is this particular table name and what is this query, just a kind of like some select statement from a table. You need to get all the connection, okay, and maybe a data source, connection statement, result set, iterating the result set, okay, and getting those result set values, all these things, and exception handling. So everything, it would look like messy. And even the problem is, even if you want to write on another method, okay, again you need to do this most of the stuff again, okay. So if you have 10 methods, all these 10 methods has to be like the same code would be repeated, which is a kind of unmaintainable over the period of time. And also it is a like resource consumption is also very high. Maintainability is also very high. So a typical what actually here requires, what is does not require, I will try to depict here, okay. In this particular code, what I just mentioned in a bold uh, letters, we need SQL obviously, and we need to know what kind of data it has to be fetched, okay, and how it has to be iterated in an object. Rest all, if you see the connection, data source, statements, okay, result set, getting the result set, these things actually been wrapped up by the Spring JDBC template. Only thing, whatever minimum things that are required in order to make your method more effective and complete, those things you need to do it in your code. Rest all, everything JDBC template would give it for you. Okay, that's how, if you see, after after comparing this JDBC code with the Spring JDBC template, of almost like maybe if you have like 15 to 20 lines of code, it would be cut down to 3 to 4 lines of code. It's not about a kind of lines of code and the kind of flexibility, adaptability that is giving, and not to write every time the repetitive code, okay. And what is Spring JDBC configuration, how you can do the configuration in order to get the features of Spring JDBC. You need to actually configure Spring JDBC XML. Maybe the name you can give anything, but there should be some configuration file where you need to mention these properties, uh, which are like the properties like driver class name, okay, and whatever the URL that you need to connect it to a database, and username password in order to establish the connection only once, okay. Once it would be been referred to a data source. That data source, what you do is you just refer that data source as a property to the JDBC template, okay. This JDBC template is the ORG Spring framework being provided, okay. You need to pass like which database it needs to connect, everything, whatever JDBC template, it has some built-in methods, okay, built-in way of connecting, okay. It gives you every methods, what it gives you we will see in the next slide. But you need to inject this particular data source object, and once it is been data source being created, it is maintaining a kind of connection pools, and it will automatically optimize the way to connect to the database, and kind of resource pooling, connection pooling concept. And you can, as you, if you have so many methods, right, so suppose you have a functionality called login DAO, okay, where you need to verify the authenticate the user, or maybe authorize the user, particular user who logs into your application. Maybe you are defining one login DAO. You just need to set the property as a JDBC template into that login DAO. Your login DAO would be ready for to use the Spring JDBC template, and you can use all the features of the Spring JDBC template. How it is possible? I can show in this next slide. See, this is the JDBC template sophisticated methods. Very few I have listed. There are so many methods. But if you want to query the database, you just need to take whatever the JDBC template you have configured that has been the context has came to your DAO, and just invoke JDBC template dot query. Okay, query parent or query per list. You want to fetch the list of objects. Maybe if you want to update some data, okay, JDBC template dot update. Okay, very simple methods, no exception handling, no resource management. All these things would JDBC Spring JDBC would wrapped, and it would give you the JDBC template. And yeah, the whatever I have shown, all the acquisition of connection, participation in any transaction management, statements, result set, exception handling, all the releases of connections, closing the connections, everything will be handled by the Spring. So that is the beauty of Spring JDBC.